Hey guys, got a haul to show you. Just that and all of this. I had just had a crazy haul yesterday. I went out comic book hunting and ended up getting a ton more comics than I expected, and actually spending less than I originally planned. First I stopped at that comic book shop, or not that bookshop that it just sells the libraries, the county library systems books that they don't want anymore. And I got a hardcover of Hulk Gray, very inexpensively. But of course it's a library edition, so the nice thing about the hardcovers is you can actually take the plastic thing off, and it doesn't. There was a sticker here, and I tried to take it off, and it didn't work so well. But you get a fairly clean-looking cover compared to the other library books. So then I went across the river to a comic book store in the next city over, and they have rows and rows and rows and rows of 50-cent boxes, and that was the main thing I was going for, mostly to search for Dark Knight Returns, see if I find any Omega Men, the original Omega Men, and there was something else I had on my mind, which I did find a few of. What was it? I can't remember. But anyway, in the meantime, before I even got to their 50-cent boxes, they had a whole bunch of Rampaging Hulks, and I had to there were so many, I had to just pick and choose ones with my favorite covers. This is my most favorite cover, Rampaging Hulk number 9. These were black and white comic book magazines that didn't have to have the Comics Code Authority on them. Back then, mostly it was things like Conan and horror comics, but the Hulk became so popular, I think thanks to Bill Bixby, that they even did the Hulk in this format, although it was pretty close to the regular Marvel Comics format, except you got these long-form black and white stories, which were rare back then, like 30, 40 pages long. This one I grabbed, I think, because it said that the interior story is by Herb Trimpe. And in fact, it's by Herb Trimpe, inked by Alfredo Alcala, which is just kind of a trippy thing to behold. Whoever thought of Herb Trimpe looking like that? But I never imagined Alcala inking Trimpe, but now I wish there was more of it. Really kind of fun stuff. So that was number 8, and none of these aren't in order. This looks like a Jim Starlin painted cover. Lo, the Submariner Strikes. Oh, number 5, very nice. Kind of a creepy Hulk by Jim Starlin. And I liked this cover, Carnival of Fools. I think this one might be in color. I'm not sure. Eventually they switched this over to color, sort of undoing the black and white thing. This one mentioned the Man Thing on the cover, so I thought I'd grab that one. And this one's definitely in color, so it's printed in Super Marvel color, Marvel's TV sensation. Maybe the magazine existed before in black and white, and when the TV show took off, they added color, I'm guessing. I don't know. And then the other black and white magazine I got was Eerie number 82, which advertised itself very strongly as introducing a legend, the Rook. And I've just picked up the new revived Rook from Dark Horse, which I've been enjoying. So I thought for the small price, I would take a dive into the original Rook and see what that was like. So then I spent probably close to an hour, or maybe longer. I don't even know how much time went by, pouring through the 50-cent bins, and I came up to the front counter with like nearly 100 comic books stacked high, flopped them down, and he said, "Oh, today's the last day of our sale. You can fill a short box for $25, and I think you could get a few more in there." And so that was already like half the price I was expecting to pay, and then I had to go search for even more comics. At that time, I'm afraid I speeded up a bit, and was a little less careful about what I picked. But I got this crazy amount of comics, tons of which I'm happy to get. A few I got kind of in mind for giving to some boys that I know who like Spider-Man a lot. And I think there'll be some other things I can give out to kids. So I'll show you as much as I can, probably go pretty quickly. Some interesting things to me, I got this Supergirl from the 1 million crossover they had. So it's a one-shot of Supergirl 83,000 years from now. And it's not the same Supergirl at all. It's kind of a cute little joke. My daughter and I have already read this, and we enjoyed it a lot. So it was definitely kid-friendly. And kind of a joke. The joke about a Supergirl who's like a toddler and destroys everything in her wake. It's a bit like reading a Gru comic book with Supergirl. This is one of the Marvel's greatest comics, which reprinted in the 70s, was the reprint comic for the Fantastic Four. And I think this very comic, this very issue, was the first time I ever read the Fantastic Four, which is smack dab in the middle of their first meeting with the Inhumans. I would like to buy these original comics, but because of them becoming key issues, because of the Inhumans, I don't think I'm going to be able to afford them for a long time till the Inhumans heat dies down. And of course I have them in omnibuses and stuff, but it felt fun to get something, this might have been the fourth or fifth, when I got the original comic, might have been the fourth or fifth comic book I ever read, and boy did it blow my mind and set me down that Kirby path. And speaking of reprints, this is one that I remember Marvel Triple Action, I think, as being an Avengers reprint comic, but this is a 25 center, so it's a giant size one that has both the Avengers and Daredevil and Doctor Strange in it. And just fun, again, to get some of the old stuff, some of which I probably have in reprints and whatnot already. Here's another oddity. Apparently there was a superhero named Starfire before. I feel like I might have picked up one other issue of hers. I'd like to hunt them down now. It looks kind of cool. It's actually kind of a science fiction sword and sorcery series, which is right up my alley. But it shows that they've always been trying to do female heroes, but usually they don't stick. I looked it up, and I think there are 8 issues of Starfire altogether. This is issue number 2. Kind of cool looking. And I got, here's another fun one. Totally feels like mint condition. Was stored without a bag. Well, actually, I shouldn't say mint. There's a bit of a crinkle on the back cover, just a slight on the corner. But it's in incredibly good condition for something that was stored without a bag. Probably low these 30 years. Blue Devil Annual, Summer Fun. And it looks like a lot of fun with a bunch of the supernatural DC characters romping around with Blue Devil, including Etrigan the Demon and the Phantom Stranger and such. So that was exciting. And then, let's see. I did find some more Omega Men. I'm trying to get, the original. I got them mixed up. I got some more Omega Men here. But anyway, these are some of the Omega Men I got. It's interesting that later in the run they were doing these weird-looking painted covers. And I ended up getting a few Omega Men I already have. I need to get way more organized. I did not bring my iPad, which has my CLZ app on it, which at least shows a lot of the comic books I have. So I might not have bought all of the Omega Men that I did without the help. If I had the help of that. I got a bunch of Rogue Trooper. I had been reading Rogue Trooper classics recently that were being published by IDW, colored versions of the earliest Rogue Trooper series from 2000 AD. And I guess it's been reprinted before in the US by Quality Comics. These are a bit rougher looking. They are color on the inside, but the color's kind of rough. His blue skin looks more like green in some of these issues. So I got a lot of these Quality Comics Rogue Troopers. I also got some IDW Rogue Troopers. And then Quality must have changed to Fleetway Quality. I don't know why that name Fleetway sounds so familiar to me. So a bunch of Rogue Troopers, and these were all originally set like 6 or 7 page stories, so I think it'll be easy to dip in and out of different issues. Of the 2000 AD stuff I've encountered so far, I've clicked best with Rogue Trooper. And okay, some one-offs. I got an issue of Hammer of the Gods. There was a bunch more Hammer of the Gods there, so if I like it, I can go back and grab some more Hammer of the Gods. This looks like maybe Image from the last 10 years sometime in there. And I got a issue of the Spirit. DC did a series of the Spirit first with Darwin Cook, and I got all of those, but then I kind of fell off of it. Although The Spirit by Will Eisner is one of my all-time favorite comics, I'm not always that keen on other people doing it. But this one is interesting because it is written and drawn by Mike Plug, who used to be an art assistant for Will Eisner before he went and kind of made his mark at Marvel and the Marvel Monster Comics and Planet of the Apes and stuff. I got excited to find one by Mike Plug, and I definitely am glad to have it, but on a first glance, it's not as exciting artwork as I would have expected from Mike Plug. And then a good chunk of these Marvel Tales, which were the 70s reprint of Spider-Man, which were reprinting 60s and early 70s Spider-Man. And now I want to stop, if I ever have time, to look through and read these, although I'll have them all as black and white reprints, because it's from the later Romita, Gil Kane, going into the Ross Andru era. I think I have all of these in black and white reprints in Marvel Essentials. But the plan was to give these to two sons of a friend of mine, both of whom really are into Spider-Man. These, looking at them, they just seem like, to me, like Spider-Man when he was at his best. Lots of Doc Ock, Aunt May, campus protests, the Man-Wolf from the Moon. Oh, here's a classic character, the Kangaroo. This may be a reprint of his key first appearance. Vulture. Ooh, I love this cover. That's classic John Romita. Hammerhead. And then the final issue I got was the marriage of Aunt May to Doc Ock. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Obviously, reprint comics don't have a lot of value, but still, exciting for me to find ones that I connect to. And I got some more issues. I've been slowly collecting the Marvel Saga, which was this weird history in pictures of the Marvel Universe. They cut out a few panels here, a few panels there from key issues, and then wrote text as if there was a cohesive history to the entire Marvel Universe. I think in the late 80s, I want to say Mark Grunwald and some other people were really hardcore into really connecting the entire history of the Marvel Universe. So a bunch of these Marvel sagas. I guess I got about 5 of them. And speaking of things with Marvel in the title, I got a big clump of Marvel 2-in-1, their Thing team-up comic, which I used to back in the early 80s when I think it was quite popular, or it was continuing in the early 80s, when I sort of had my second wind as a 19, 20, 21-year-old reading comics. I thought of it as kind of filler comics, but now I was kind of excited to find a whole bunch of these. They're totally one and done for the most part. Occasionally there'd be a continuing story. But it's funny, once I get a whole bunch of these, then I start thinking about getting a whole run. For some reason, the Thing versus Thundra takes me back to times of excitement. The Thing and Warlock ? With Warlock's arm coming out of the grave. Thing and Triton. The Thing and Hyperion. The Thing and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Completely unrecognizable, different Guardians of the Galaxy. A very, very obscure group at the point that comic came out, I bet. The Thing and the Inhumans. Thing and Man-Thing. Thing and Spider-Woman. Oh, I love this one. Thing and Sandman. He and Sandman are sitting in a bar having a beer. Thing and She-Hulk. My daughter and I get a big kick out of reading the old Fantastic Four, where the Sandman keeps showing up and he's such a deadly villain, and I always joke with my daughter, "Ooh, the Sandman! He's gonna turn into sand! We can go play at the beach! Oh no! Watch out!" Okay, here's a crazy one. They make it look, it's the Thing, and they don't say who he's with, and it looks like the shadow of Batman. And he says, "Oh no, not you! It can't be you!" Because it can't be you in a Marvel comic, and it's a total fake out. It's the Sphinx, who I think was a time-traveling supervillain. The Thing and the Living Mummy. The Thing and Rom. Next time I'm there, I'm going to look and see if they have any Rom Space Knight, because that's one that will never be reprinted because of copyright reasons. And I am eating up time here. Well, quickly, I found a bunch of Captain Canucks from the early 80s. And I think I remember having this issue, and I remember the art very fondly, by George Freeman, I think his name was. Pretty cool coloring for the 80s, too. And so I got a total of 6 issues of that. That was issue 14. Here's issue 3, 7, 8. These covers vary. Some of them are kind of cool, some are kind of lame. 9, and then 13. So 13 and 14 have pretty cool covers. Looking forward to check those out. Another thing that I am trying to get a complete run of from the 80s era is Marvel Fanfare. So I got a few more issues of Marvel Fanfare. A few of which were doubles that I already have. I didn't realize it, but mostly ones I didn't already have. For some reason, I'm fascinated by Marvel Fanfare. That's a very cool sort of painted cover of Shanna the She-Devil. I'm not sure who that's by. So, it keeps getting funner. A few issues of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. I think to really get the issues I really want of this, I may have to pay a bit of money. These also will never be reprinted because of legal problems with the heirs of, I forget it, Saxe-Romer, or the state of Saxe-Romer, who owns Fu Manchu, who at the time Marvel had licensed Fu Manchu, but then didn't know what to do with him in his own book, and instead stuck him in this Kung Fu book as the father of Shang-Chi. And I think they've retconned that now, so they can do Shang-Chi comics, and his father is no longer Fu Manchu. So, one of these is a Mike Zeck. One is a Gene Day. The super sweet spot is the Paul Gulacy Master of Kung Fu, but I really like the Gene Day Master of Kung Fu too. And Mike Zeck had a lot to say for him also. He was a great artist in the day. And here's a Max Comics reboot of Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu with Paul Gulacy, which I was not aware of. It says, they put an extra sticker on it, Mature 17. I mean, now in my comic book store, they have comics that say "fuck" on the cover, showing right at kid eye level. But back then, they put M17 on a cover with nothing naughty on the cover. Got another issue of Night Force. I keep buying these. I may even have all of them. This turned out to be a double for me. An issue of Daymen. I just wanted to check this out because I had the black and white artist version, and I wanted to compare it to the original comic. Here's an oddity. It's a comic book, or in comic book form, a magazine, a how-to lettering book. And I just thought, I've I've learned so much, as a fan about inking and coloring and drawing, but I know nothing about lettering. So it was worth 50 cents, or in the end, less than 50 cents, just to learn a little bit about that. And I keep stumbling across, I guess at some point, maybe in the late 90s, 2000, DC was floundering around for something that people would like in comics when they were so unpopular. So they tried these mock Silver Age comics. Here it is, all new tale from the, quote, Silver Age, Challengers of the Unknown, with a Joe Kubert cover. I don't know who did the interiors. I found another Silver Age one that's somewhere in this pile. So here was what kind of inspired me originally to go to the comic book store, was Legends of the Dark Knight, which I'm trying to get as part of my Batman collecting, a bunch of Legends of the Dark Knight. And some of these turned out also to be doubles, but the majority of them were ones I didn't have before. This one has a particularly cool cover, Family. Blades by James Robinson. I think that might have been one I double-dipped on one or two of these issues on. More Blades. This is interesting. Batman looks kind of like a Viking on here. Batman Destiny. Don't know what that's about. Don't know who Mark Neese is, or Knies. More Batman Destiny. So it looks like it may be Batman Through Time. Here's a crazy Kevin O'Neill cover. This is a very nice looking P. Craig Russell cover with Poison Ivy. Love P. Craig Russell. Snitch. I think this is one I already have, Dow. And 2 of 2, Dow, the second Dow. I think I have both of those already. A Mike Mignola one called Sanctum. And Chuck Dixon with Mike Mahone. I think I might have one of these 2 issues. Storm by Andrew Dworkin. I have not heard of him. Quarry by Dennis O'Neil. And Devils by Dixon, Wagner, and McCain. That's an interesting looking cover. So I'm sorry I can't go. I'm just about running out of time to go into this. I gotta go pick up my daughter at a play date soon. Got a bunch of the Kingdom one-shots. Offspring I've already read. It was drawn by Frank Quitely, written by Mark Waid. It was kind of fun. Mostly interesting just to see Frank Quitely draw Plastic Man and his son. There was Kingdom Planet Krypton, Kingdom Kid Flash. It's a female Kid Flash. I guess the Kingdom is. I think the Kingdom series was a mixing of the Kingdom Come world and our world, but I'm not sure how it all works. I eventually dig up all the pieces. Son of the Bat, so I assume a son of Batman, whether that's Damien at this point, I don't know. So yeah, that was really fun to find. I'm slowly picking up first issue specials. This is first issue special, issue 2, The Green Team. Oh, and here's a The Kingdom one-shot by Jeff Johns and other people. So help me fit that together. Oh, and here's another one of those Silver Age ones. This is the Silver Age Teen Titans, redone in 2000. And as I mentioned before, I like the sword and sorcery. So I found some issues of Claw the Unconquered. I wonder, Conan the Barbarian, has a nice ring to it, or Savage Sword of Conan the Barbarian, but does Unconquered, is that the wrong kind of description of a hero? I don't know, maybe it's a good one. Claw the Unconquered. These are Ernie Chan covers. I assume Ernie Chan was the artist inside, but I might be wrong. So this is something I think I want to collect the whole run of, and I assume it's a pretty short run. I have up to issue 11. Oh, there's a nice Joe Kubert Kubert cover. Probably not Kubert art on the inside. At this point in comics history, I don't think he was doing that many interiors. So that's Claw 10, but I already showed you Claw 11. Got a whole bunch of Khazar or Khazars. Got the 70s series, which was Lord of the Hidden Jungle, Khazar. Issue 5. Issue 7. I think these are kind of all over the place with the artists. I think a few of them may also be reprints from Savage Tales. Issue 8. Issue 11. To me, it's exciting to find these 70s books and pay almost nothing for them. Issue 14. It's like unexpected treasure. Issue 16. Issue 17. 18. 19. And 20. I think it just went 20 issues and then disappeared from the 25-cent to the 30-cent era. And then there was this series in the early 80s by Bruce Jones and Brent Anderson, who most of us now know for Astro City, called Khazar or Khazar the Savage. And it took place in the Savage Land with his girlfriend, Shanna the She-Devil, with him. So it was more of a duo, even though Khazar got the title. But I have a feeling they were calling it Khazar the Savage to capitalize on the continued popularity of Conan over anything featuring Khazar. So it was kind of some of the covers look like fantasy sword and sorcery covers. Oh, there's your more classic jungle action cover there. I always love this cover. That's kind of Brent Anderson at his Neil Adams-esque best. I think I got the first 8 or 9 issues. I think with issue 10, it became one of the early direct market only comics. And they raised its price from 50 cents to 75 cents. But I think there were no ads and it was on better paper and maybe a few extra pages. Because I definitely bought that back in the day and then let it all go. Okay, just a few more to quickly go through before I shut off my camera. I got a bunch of, I guess, 80s DC Comics Presents. We got a cover by George Perez with OMAC. Superman. So these seem to be Superman team-up comics. Superman and Green Arrow. Superman and Green Lantern. This is number 6. So closer to maybe that's 70s or very late, very early 80s. Superman and the Shazam family. Superman and Metamorpho. Superman and Plastic Man. Ross Andrew cover. Yeah, so that was those. Got some Mystery in Space, a fairly recent 2006, I guess, series from Jim Starlin. I think about Adam Strange, I believe. And then this was a big surprise. The rest of these are Commandees. They are, and some people I know find Commandee and other Kirby stuff really cheap. I never do. I usually pay $7, $8, $9, $10 for the good Commandees. But these are all post Jack Kirby. And I feel like they might have just recently been put in these boxes when they failed to sell. Because most of them have prices around $4 to $6. So I just got a big chunk, and I have a few of these already, but a big chunk of the Commandees after Jack Kirby left DC. And I have never gotten around to reading these, even though I have a lot of them. Now I have even more of them. I never felt a strong urge to fill in that gap, or at least not till I had there's a few Kirby ones I'm missing, but I just couldn't resist at this price. And even watered down Commandee holds some strong value for me. So, but obviously not many people are buying them, and so they got stuck in the cheap bins. There's some kind of cool covers here. It's amazing how long Commandee lasted after Kirby left. I think it went up to about issue 60 or so. I've got up to 57 here. So it went for 20 issues or more after Kirby left. That's a kind of a nice picture. I guess Flower returns, or not Flower, her sister. I forget what her sister was called. Flower had a twin sister. So here's 57. That's kind of a sci-fi looking cover with what look like aliens rather than animal people on the cover. Yeah, so all in all, I had a great time. My mind was blown. I expected, originally I was thinking I might get 40, 50-cent comics or something along that line. And instead I got about 150 comics in a box all at once. When will I read them? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. Talk to you later.